The Galactic Council chambers hummed with the low vibrations of 1,000 different species. Ambassador Keth of the Blue Spiral Empire stood before the assembled delegates, his forearms gesturing dismissively at the holographic display, showing a small blue planet. Earth, he announced, his voice carrying across the vast hall. A primitive world inhabited by bipedal mammals who still use combustion engines and wage wars over resources. The gathered aliens murmured their agreement. Humanity had been discovered only 50 years ago, and their assessment was clear: primitive, violent, and unworthy of galactic citizenship. The Council had voted unanimously to quarantine the Sol system, placing a barrier that would prevent humans from leaving their solar system. They fight among themselves, continued Ambassador Vex from the Crystal Dominion. Their technology is barely capable of reaching their own moon. They pollute their homeworld and show no signs of unity. On Earth, Captain Rick Stone of the United Earth Defense Force received the transmission through the one communication relay the aliens had permitted. The message was simple: humanity was denied entry into galactic civilization. The barrier around their solar system would remain until they evolved beyond their primitive nature. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kate Burns, her face pale as she read the full report, "they're treating us like animals in a zoo." Captain Stone clenched his fists. The aliens had studied humanity for decades, watching their wars, their struggles, their attempts to reach the stars. They saw only chaos and violence, never understanding the drive and determination that pushed humans forward. "They think we're savages," Stone muttered, staring at the star charts that now showed an impenetrable wall around their system. "They have no idea what humans are capable of when we're pushed." The news spread across Earth like wildfire. World leaders held emergency sessions. Scientists worked frantically to understand the alien technology that trapped them. But most importantly, humanity began to change. The quarantine had an unexpected effect. Faced with a common enemy and a clear challenge, the fractured nations of Earth began to unite. Wars ended as countries pooled their resources. The greatest minds of the planet worked together on a single goal: breaking free from their cosmic prison. Dr. Alan West, Earth's leading physicist, made the first breakthrough. "The barrier isn't just keeping us in," he announced to the emergency council. "It's also keeping their signals out. They can't monitor us anymore." This revelation changed everything. For the first time in human history, the species had complete privacy to develop without alien oversight. What the Galactic Council saw as a simple containment measure became humanity's greatest advantage. Years passed. The aliens occasionally checked their sensors, confirming that the primitive humans were still trapped in their system. Energy readings showed typical industrial activity. Radio chatter suggested continued conflicts. Everything appeared normal. But behind the barrier, humanity was transforming. Captain Stone, now Admiral Stone, stood in the command center of humanity's first true starship. Not the crude rockets that had barely reached Mars, but a vessel that bent space itself. Around him, engineers from every nation worked as one people. "Admiral," reported Commander Jake Hill, "the new colonies on Mars and Europa are fully operational. Industrial output has increased by 400% since the unification. The transformation was remarkable. Freed from the need to compete with each other, humans had redirected their competitive nature toward a single goal: proving the aliens wrong. Every conflict, every war, every struggle in human history had been preparation for this moment." "Timeline update," Stone ordered. "Project Freedom is ahead of schedule," replied Dr. Lisa Park, the chief scientist. "The barrier analysis is complete. We know how to break it, and more importantly, we know how to make sure it can never be rebuilt." Stone nodded. The plan was ambitious beyond anything humanity had ever attempted. They wouldn't just escape their prison. They would emerge as something a galaxy had never seen before. As he looked out at the stars beyond their invisible cage, Stone remembered the aliens' dismissive words about primitive humans. They had made a critical error in their assessment. They saw humanity's conflicts and assumed weakness, never recognizing that every war had made them stronger. Every struggle had taught them to adapt and overcome. They wanted us to evolve, Stone said quietly. They just didn't realize we already were. The final preparations began. Across the solar system, massive ships took their positions. On Earth, the last of the old nations formally dissolved as humanity became truly united for the first time in its history. The aliens would learn soon enough that their primitive prisoners had become something far more dangerous than they could imagine. 25 years had passed since the quarantine began, though to the Galactic Council it felt like a footnote in their vast records. The quarterly report on the Sol system landed on Ambassador Keth's desk with the same mundane regularity as always. Energy signatures remained consistent with pre-industrial civilization, he read aloud to his aide. Radio communications suggest continued tribal conflicts. No significant technological advancement detected. What the report didn't mention was that the barrier itself had become humanity's greatest teacher. Deep beneath the surface of Luna, Dr. Lisa Park stood before a massive holographic display showing the barrier's energy patterns. Around her, scientists from every corner of Earth worked in the most advanced laboratory ever built by human hands. The alien technology is incredible, she explained to the gathered team. But it's not perfect. Every energy signature we've detected tells us something about their capabilities. Commander Jake Hill, now bearing the scars of humanity's transformation, nodded grimly. They built this prison to contain primitives. They never imagined we'd use it as a school. The humans had done more than just study the barrier. They had dissected every piece of alien technology they could find. Reverse engineering devices left behind by the survey teams decades ago. What the aliens considered disposable equipment, humans treated as treasure troves of information. Report, Admiral Stone commanded as he entered the facility. His uniform bore the insignia of the United Human Fleet, an organization that didn't exist when the quarantine began. Phase 1 is complete, Dr. Park announced. We understand their faster-than-light travel, their energy weapons, and their shield technology. More importantly, we've improved upon all of it. Stone studied this data streaming across the displays. Humanity's approach to technology had always been different from other species. Where aliens built reliable, standardized equipment, humans built adaptable, innovative solutions. Their military history had taught them that the best defense was often an unpredictable offense. The test results from the Mars facility? Stone asked. Successful beyond expectations, replied Chief Engineer Tom Reed. Our new plasma weapons are 30% more efficient than alien designs. The adaptive armor plating withstood everything we threw at it. But technology was only part of humanity's evolution. The real change had been social and psychological. Captain Maya Singh, one of the youngest fleet commanders, represented the new generation of humans. Born after the quarantine, she had grown up knowing that humanity was trapped, scorned, and underestimated. This generation felt no kinship with the aliens who had judged them. The psychological profiles are complete, she reported. Every person in the fleet understands the mission. We're not going out there to make friends. Stone nodded approvingly. The old humanity might have sought acceptance, might have tried to prove they were worthy of joining galactic civilization. The new humanity had a different goal entirely. They called us primitive, Stone said, addressing the assembled officers. They said we were too violent, too chaotic to join their peaceful galaxy. They were right about one thing. We are violent. But they made a crucial mistake. He gestured to the displays showing human ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. sleek, deadly, and bearing design principles that would confuse alien engineers. They assumed violence made us weak. They never considered that it made us the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The transformation hadn't been without cost. Earth's population had grown more unified, but also harder. The knowledge that they were considered inferior by an entire galaxy had forged humanity into something new. They retained their creativity, their drive, their refusal to surrender, but they had lost their innocence. Dr. Park brought up the final display, a countdown timer. Project Freedom launches in 6 months, she announced. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier is ready. And the aliens suspect nothing? Stone asked. Their sensors still read us as pre-industrial, Commander Hill confirmed with a grim smile. They see what we want them to see. The real installations are shielded by technology they don't even know exists. Stone looked around the room at humanity's finest, scientists who had unlocked the secrets of space-time, engineers who had built machines that defied alien understanding, soldiers who had trained for a war the enemy didn't know was coming. They wanted us to evolve, he said quietly. Mission accomplished. Stone looked around the room at humanity's finest, scientists who had unlocked the secrets of space-time, engineers who had built machines that defied alien understanding, soldiers who had trained for a war the enemy didn't know was coming. They wanted us to evolve, he said quietly. Mission accomplished. The irony wasn't lost on anyone present. The Galactic Council had quarantined humanity to prevent them from polluting their peaceful civilization with human violence and chaos. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed: time, motivation, and a common enemy. In 6 months, the barrier would fall, and with it, the galaxy's illusions about the primitive species from Sol. The day of reckoning arrived without fanfare. In the depths of space, the barrier that had contained humanity for 25 years hummed with the same energy it had maintained since its activation. To the aliens monitoring from distant stations, it was just another routine day of containing the primitive Earth species. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the UHS Liberation, humanity's flagship and a vessel that represented everything they had become. Around him, officers moved with the precision of a species that had learned to make every action count. All ships report ready, Admiral, announced Captain Maya Singh from her position at the tactical station. Stone looked out at the invisible wall that had defined humanity's cage for a quarter-century. Beyond it lay a galaxy that had judged them unworthy. Today, they would discover the consequences of that judgment. Dr. Park, status on the barrier analysis? Complete, sir, came the reply from the science station. We know exactly how to bring it down. More importantly, we know how to prevent them from putting it back up. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Humanity had spent decades studying the barrier, understanding not just how it worked, but how to corrupt its fundamental operating principles. They wouldn't just break free. They would ensure that no alien species could ever cage them again. Begin. Phase 1, Stone commanded. Across the solar system, hidden installations activated. Devices that had been built in secret, using technology that surpassed anything the aliens possessed. The barrier's energy readings spiked as humanity began their assault. On the Galactic Council monitoring station, Alert Officer Nex stared at his displays in confusion. The energy patterns from the Sol system were fluctuating wildly. Sir, he called to his supervisor, something's happening at the quarantine zone. Supervisor Grimm approached the displays, his 3 eyes narrowing. Equipment. Malfunction? Negative, sir. The barrier itself is being modified somehow. The truth was more shocking than either alien could comprehend. Humanity wasn't just breaking the barrier. They were reprogramming it. Every energy pattern, every quantum signature had been mapped and understood. Now, human technology was rewriting the alien systems from within. Phase 2, Admiral, reported Commander Hill from the engineering station. Stone nodded. Execute. The barrier began to change. What had been a wall designed to keep humans in became something entirely different. Energy flowed in new patterns, creating not a prison, but a gateway. A gateway that only humanity could control. Sir, Nex's voice carried panic now. The barrier is destabilizing. We're reading massive energy surges throughout the entire containment field. But it was too late for the aliens to react. Even if they had understood what was happening, humanity's modifications were beyond their technology's ability to counter. The barrier collapsed. For the first time in 25 years, the Sol system was open to the galaxy. But humanity didn't emerge slowly or cautiously. They had planned for this moment with military precision. All ships moved to positions, Stone commanded. The united human fleet poured through the gap like water through a broken dam. Ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Sleek, deadly, and bearing the marks of a species that had been forged in the crucible of enforced isolation. The alien monitoring station's alarms screamed as sensors detected the massive fleet. Ships that shouldn't exist, technology that defied understanding, and energy signatures that made no sense according to known science. "This is impossible," Supervisor Grimm whispered, staring at the readings. "The humans are primitive. They barely have nuclear technology." "Sir, we need to alert the Council," Nex urged. But even as they tried to send their warning, they discovered another shocking truth. Humanity's breakthrough had done more than just destroy their prison. It had damaged the local communication networks, cutting off this sector from the rest of the galaxy. "We're alone out here," Grimm realized with growing horror. Admiral Stone received the confirmation with grim satisfaction. "The monitoring station?" "Isolated and helpless, sir," reported Captain Singh. "They can see us, but they can't warn anyone else." "Perfect. Begin Phase 3. The human fleet didn't attack the monitoring station. Instead, they did something far more unsettling. They ignored it completely. The ships spread out through local space, moving with purpose and coordination that spoke of careful planning. "Where are they going?" Nex asked, watching the human ships disappear into hyperspace. Neither alien realized they were witnessing the beginning of humanity's return to a galaxy that had scorned them. The primitive species from Sol had become something the galaxy had never seen before. A unified, technologically advanced, and deeply motivated civilization with a very clear understanding of how their neighbors viewed them. The monitoring station continued broadcasting their futile warnings into the void, unaware that humanity had already moved beyond their ability to track or understand. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were truly capable of. News of humanity's escape spread through the galaxy like a disease. What started as confused reports from the Sol sector became increasingly urgent warnings as the scope of the situation became clear. Ambassador Keth stood before an emergency session of the Galactic Council, his forearms trembling as he read. The reports streaming in from across the galaxy. 17 colonies have reported contact with unknown vessels, he announced to the stunned assembly. The ships match no known configuration in our databases. Impossible, declared Counselor. Vex of the Crystal Dominion. The humans were contained. Our barrier technology is absolute. But the evidence was undeniable. Across multiple star systems, human vessels had appeared as if from nowhere. They didn't attack, didn't make demands, didn't even attempt communication. They simply observed, recorded, and disappeared. Admiral Stone watched the galaxy's panic unfold from the bridge of the liberation. Around him, displays showed the positions of human scout ships throughout known space. Each vessel was gathering intelligence, mapping defenses, and studying the species that had once judged humanity. unworthy. "Report from the Outer Rim," announced Captain Singh. "The trade routes are in chaos. Merchant vessels are refusing to travel without military escort." Stone allowed himself a small smile. Fear was a powerful weapon, and humanity had learned to wield it expertly. "Any attempts at communication?" "Several, sir. The Council has been broadcasting on all frequencies, requesting dialogue." "And our response?" "As ordered, sir." Complete silence. The silence was deliberate and calculated. Every human had lived their entire lives knowing they were considered primitive by the galaxy. Now, they wanted their former judges to experience uncertainty, to wonder what the primitive humans had become during their isolation. On the Council world, emergency meetings ran around the clock. Species that had never agreed on anything found themselves united by a common fear of the unknown. "We need to establish contact," urged Ambassador Tell of the Green Federation. "Perhaps they can be reasoned with." "Reasoned with?" Kef's voice carried disbelief. "Look at these reports. Their technology is beyond our understanding. Their ships appear and disappear without using known hyperspace routes. Their energy signatures don't match anything in our database." What the Council didn't understand was that humanity's approach to technology had always been fundamentally different. Where alien species developed along predictable lines, following established principles, humans had taken a different path entirely. Dr. Lisa Park, now serving as chief scientific advisor to the human fleet, reviewed the intelligence reports with satisfaction. "They're trying to understand our technology using their own scientific frameworks," she explained to Admiral Stone. "It's like trying to understand quantum physics using Stone Age mathematics." "And our tactical assessment?" "Complete, sir. Every major military installation, every fleet position, every defensive network has been mapped and analyzed." The scope of humanity's intelligence operation was staggering. In just months, they had gathered more information about galactic civilization than the aliens had collected about Earth in decades. Commander Hill brought up the strategic displays. "The irony is perfect, Admiral. They spend so much time maintaining their peaceful civilization that they've forgotten how to fight a real war." It was true. The Galactic Council's idea of conflict was economic sanctions and diplomatic protests. They had built their entire society around the belief that advanced civilizations naturally became peaceful. They had never encountered a species that had evolved to be more dangerous as it became more advanced. "Phase 4 status?" Stone inquired. "All assets in position," reported Captain Naya Singh. "We can be at any major system within hours of your command." But Stone wasn't ready to reveal humanity's full capabilities yet. The longer the galaxy remained uncertain, the more advantage humans gained. "Sir," interrupted Communications Officer Davis, "we're receiving another broadcast from the Galactic Council. They're offering to lift the quarantine and grant humanity full membership." The bridge fell silent. Every human present understood the bitter irony. The same species that had declared them unworthy now desperately wanted to negotiate. "They're afraid," Stone said quietly. "Good, they should be." "Orders, sir?" Stone looked out at the stars that had once been forbidden to his people. Somewhere out there, billions of aliens were wondering what the primitive humans had become. They were about to find out. Maintain surveillance protocols, continue intelligence gathering, and prepare for Phase 5. "Sir, Phase 5 is total revelation," Stone finished. "It's time to show the galaxy exactly what they created when they caged humanity." The fear spreading through galactic civilization was just the beginning. Humanity had returned, and they had no intention of asking for permission to exist. The moment Admiral Stone had waited 25 years for finally arrived. Across the galaxy, human ships dropped their stealth systems simultaneously. revealing the true scope of their presence to a stunned galactic civilization. On the Council homeworld, alarms screamed as sensors detected what appeared to be impossible. Thousands of human vessels, positioned at strategic points throughout known space, all revealing themselves at once. "By the ancient stars," whispered Ambassador Keth, staring at displays that showed human ships at every major world, every trade route, every military installation. "They're everywhere." The revelation was more terrifying than any direct attack could have been. Humanity hadn't just escaped their prison. They had been watching, studying, and positioning themselves throughout the galaxy for months without being detected. Admiral Stone stood before the assembled human fleet commanders via holographic link. Representatives from every ship, every station, every outpost humanity had established looked back at him with the cold determination of a species that had been forged by adversity. "Today, we make our statement to the galaxy," Stone announced. "Not with words, but with demonstration." Captain Maya Singh activated the fleet-wide broadcast system. For the first time since escaping their quarantine, humanity would speak to their former captors. "Attention, Galactic Council." Stone's voice carried across thousands of light years, reaching every major system simultaneously. "This is Admiral Stone of the United Human Fleet." On the Council homeworld, the emergency session fell silent as Stone's image appeared on their main display. The human leader looked nothing like the primitive savage they had expected. His uniform was crisp, his bearing military, and his eyes held the cold intelligence of a predator. 25 years ago, you judged humanity unworthy of joining your civilization. You declared us too primitive, too violent, too chaotic for your peaceful galaxy. Keth felt his three hearts beating rapidly as he realized the full implications of what they were witnessing. "You were correct about one thing," Stone continued. "We are violent. We are chaotic. We are everything you feared we might be." The human admiral paused, letting his words sink in across the galaxy. "But you made a critical error in your assessment. You saw our nature as a weakness. You never considered that it might be our greatest strength." Dr. Park appeared beside Stone in the transmission, her scientific credentials displayed for all to see. "While you maintained your peaceful civilization, we evolved. We took every principle of your technology and improved upon it. We studied every aspect of your society and found its vulnerabilities." The demonstration began with a simple display of technological superiority. Human ships across the galaxy simultaneously activated systems that should have been impossible. They moved without using detectable propulsion, communicated without using known networks, and demonstrated energy manipulation that defied understanding. "Your barrier didn't contain us," Stone explained, as images of the quarantine's destruction played for all to see. "It educated us. Every moment we spent studying it made us stronger." Commander Hill's voice joined the broadcast. "You wanted to know if humanity was ready for galactic civilization. The answer is yes. We're ready to take it." The threat was subtle, but unmistakable. Humanity wasn't asking to join the galactic community. They were announcing their intention to reshape it. "We offer you a choice," Stone continued. "You can accept humanity as equals, with all the changes that will bring to your comfortable order. Or you can attempt to stop us." Images flashed across the transmission. Human colonies on worlds the aliens thought uninhabitable. Human ships using technology that surpassed anything in the galactic database. Human soldiers training with weapons that made alien defenses obsolete. "Consider your decision carefully," Stone warned. "The primitive species you once scorned has returned. We are no longer seeking your approval." The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. In the council chambers, the reality of their situation became clear. The species they had dismissed as primitive had not only matched their technology, they had surpassed it. Worse, they had done so with the focused determination of a species that had been forged by exclusion and tempered by necessity. What do they want? Ambassador Tell asked weakly. Keth studied the data streaming in from across the galaxy. Human ships held positions that could cripple galactic trade, communications, and defense within hours. It was the most sophisticated military operation in recorded history, executed by the species they had considered too chaotic to join civilization. They want what we denied them, Keth realized. Respect. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had returned, not as supplicants seeking admission to galactic society, but as conquerors who had surpassed their former judges, the primitive. Species from Sol had become the most dangerous force the galaxy had ever seen, and they were just getting started.